the next step is we will change this. So now it's a fixed list. It's not so interesting having a fixed list. It might be a little bit more interesting that we actually could have some data, maybe a list of currency in this case, and so we will, and then we can produce the list from that one. So we can still try to make it easy, just using the HTML part of it in the first place, and then we can go a little bit further and use some of the built-in the helpers, the Razor helpers, to make it a little bit more easy. But in the first place, we need now some kind of list of elements. So the quick way is just making a simple repository where we make some currency and put them in. Then we have some kind of model with elements. So and then we can use this. In the first place, we don't want to change it. It's just fixed elements, but you can imagine that that could come from somewhere else. Instead of having it just like a fixed repository, then we can have a repository built from maybe services, or maybe we can change the elements. But that's not what we are going for now. So we will go and make a new, put it in the model, I think, new class. And let's just call it currency. Repository. So in this one, we don't need anything but the possibility of having a list if we don't want to change it. So we could actually just have one method giving us a list, and then it could be changed over time, that it has more methods, so we could actually maintain the list. But if I just say that I want a list of, let's just keep it as a list. Of currency objects, and it should have a public, of course. Then we need to make a list. This one, and then we can add some elements. New currency, and as far as I remember, then we can have the ISO equal name exchange rate. This should do it. And then we put a few more. An exchange rate is this one. Now we should remember it's a dot notation. they still have power, those American. Now we might be forced, because of the new president, also to use the American standard for date. So year, day, months instead. Who knows?
Also the metric system.
Yeah. So we actually, it's a bit funny if you ever have tried to use the American mile system. They have miles and they have yard, but they don't have a fixed. They're not an integer number when you convert them. So they are really difficult to convert between them. So in USD America, and the exchange rate was something like this one. It's an old one, I think. So now we have a list and can return it. So normally it would be, maybe we could have a static variable containing this list and then build it once and maintain it. It could also be maybe with a property, we could put it in application element. But for now, it's this, just having a list is the only thing that's important for us, because how to make the list and how to maintain it is not important for the ListBox program. So this is enough. So now we got a model, and now we can try to make a new action maybe, and a new view where we use this new information, and then we produce the ListBox from the list we have with the currency objects, instead of just putting it hard-coded here. So let's start with making a new controller. This was a simple HTML box. You may say really simple. So the next one, we can copy this one because we need two. Maybe it's a bad idea copying. So just copy the keyword, and we could say HTML. Something like this one. It could probably say that we fill it from data in return view. It's one of them. We could start here, and then you can take the next step, making the post. In the first place, we just want to see it. So let's start here. So we can now have a list of currency. So we need a currency list. This model. Oh yes. Oh. Yeah. So model currency. As it's saying, models with NS, and it helps a little bit. Wasn't that the name? Let's see what it say. Oh, we should have the
namespace first, so it's a web application.
So we need the full one, but maybe we could actually, might be a little bit easier. Just try to do this one and see if we can get any help. Then we just put in the using. Of course, that's an easy way to do it. So we got the list, and actually I might change it a little bit, because this is actually not a static function. So now I need a repository to get the function, so it might be a little bit easier making it public static. instead. Then I can use it directly. And it was currency. Just a second. Currency, I'm not spelling correctly. Repository. And then get currency list. So now I have a list, and I can also pass this for the view. So this is the first part. So for the next part, I could now try to make a view again from the beginning. Might also have some inspiration because there is a template going for a list. But if I want also to have information in a post back, it might be a bad idea. So it seems like it's a good idea because I need to pass a model of element. But I think it's actually better that I just take the one for create and then I just change what actually is the model pass, because I don't I haven't used the model until now. So let's try to make this one and then copy from the other one what's needed. So we do like we did with the last one, make a new view. And let's just take the create one, and then the currency as a model, doesn't matter, just having one model. I'll change it in a minute. And then I will remove most of the information. I could use a header, but this I will remove, this I will remove, this I will remove, and this I will remove. So, and I could also remove the action list. So I could write it from beginning, but it has set something up for me. Some might be maybe something I can use. So this should be changed. Yes. Then let's make a new view also, so we have something to look at how to make this will be good because it has a form. So and the other one we could make is good if we want to have a look how to pass a model of as a list, and also to make the loop. So we try to have a look at that, and then we write all the code in this one. If you have done it a couple of times, you might do this from the beginning also, but it helps you a little bit setting up the correct for the scripting. And some of them are actually interesting. If you want to make a submit, then some of the script actually are needed. And the one also put in the form might also be interesting. So we could actually also move this one if we don't have anything we want to show in the header, but anyway, that would be okay. So let's go and make a new view in the controller here. Let's just make a new view. So I just want to make it, not to use it. So I give it a new name and say that it should be a list, and a model class should be currency. So then we can have a look how we make a loop. So you can see here we pass a model. It's a little bit different because in this one we only passed one object and we need actually a list. So we can see here how to make the list. So we change this one. And the only thing, it's not a list, it's actually, you can see, more generic, so it's just an enumerable, so it could be anything that we can pass through. So it doesn't matter if it's a list or anything else. So, but it might be a good idea using this one. And for the other one, you can see here how to make a loop. So we can see here that the way to loop through the items is making a for each. We could have a lookup for that, or we could remember it. And then it's just like in normal C# with a start and an end. So, and the for each loop would be the one we need. Maybe we can try and write it ourselves now. So, so we have this one. So we try to make a for each. What's here? Oh, intelligence. Let's just have a look. If I missed something. Yes, of course. Yeah. In this case, they are saying var because they don't want to write currency. I could write currency, that might be the same. But you can see then I need to write the full models.currency because it don't know currency. So that might be why they just write var n model, and it's model dot, oh, it's just model, is it? Yes, in model. One thing I sometimes think is a little bit confusing, that is here the name is with low letter, so it's model with small letters, and when we use it, we actually use it like it was a class with capital letters. So that's the loop. Then let's try to figure out what's to be done in a loop and what's not to be done in a loop. So we go and, so we had this one. Let's start copy it. And we can change it a bit. So if we copy it, put it here, then we can see what's to be done outside the loop and what's to be done inside the loop. And probably you will see that the select should be done outside the loop and the elements should be produced inside the loop. You see? So this should be changed with the loop. We can write the loop first and then we can put it in. So we need something like this one in the loop, but and now it's complaining, of course, because there's no start select and end select, but then we need to change this one. This should be changed. So in this case, we actually use the item, the name from the item. So we need to say it's not a fixed text, so we use the master space, and then we got the item, and then we can put in the ISO. So this was exchanged with the ISO, and then the content here, we change that with the item, and then the name. No, actually a little bit more, because we got in this one we actually have more fields, so we might have first start with the ISO, also, then a space, and then we got the exchange rate. So that should be what we need. You see? Yes. The value is the one that's passed back when we make a post back. So and if we got a key, then it's easy. Of course, we could also have position. Yeah. Yes, because it's an HTML property. So, but when we are talking about that, we can be a little bit lucky because sometimes there's some kind of C# and sometimes we put some HTML into it, and we can use both one quote and double quote. So if we, you know, the problem, if we need a string with a double quote inside the string, then we need to make escape character and so on. But here we can actually sometimes just using double quote for the C# notation, and then inside the value we can use single quotes. So, but in this case it's put inside. So we just change it just like here. So in this case it should be like exactly like this one. So the only thing is, instead of having instead of this is a constant text, then we actually put in elements into it. So it's nearly like you build up a string, you add more elements to it, but in this case we can just fill in the elements where we need to. So this should actually now be, so instead of this one, we might just comment it out, then we can leave it here, then we can put in the loop instead. So this might do the same. Look simple or not? Yes?
Can you scroll right?
Yes, of course. So what I have done now is actually just, I still use the HTML nearly plain, but I put some logic into it because I can make a loop. So instead of having it as a constant select box, then I can actually, when I make the loop, both make a loop, but I can also use the model I pass to it. So in this case, it's just a list of concurrency, not concurrency, that's multi-threading, but currency. So I just changed it. You understand? It's still basic HTML. So if this will work, then it's easy to change from the hard-coded HTML to HTML where we put some logic into it. Yes?
So instead of hard-coding every time, you apply logic in your HTML with race syntax.
Yes.
Very smart.
Yeah, it is actually.
So
and when we come to the helper, they're just compressing it a bit more. So instead of writing all this code, it can produce the code with some kind of a small function. So let's try to see if it's working. We cannot make the post back, I know that, because we haven't made a post back function, but if we can see it, the post back will not change. It will actually be the same. So it seems to work. So now we got a list box, but we got a list box produced by the module. So we still code all the basic stuff just using plain HTML. We could actually also have used the normal HTML form, but we put in the razor form instead. It might be a little bit nicer, and when we come to the end, it might also give a little bit easier code. So what we need now is actually just make a new post back option on this one. So we take, let's see, it might be, where is the controller? It might not be open anymore. Oh, this was, I can close this one. And I don't need this one anymore. And this one I definitely close. So, okay, so now I'm back in my controller. So, if we want to have the value we selected, then we need some kind of post back. And if we go to the view, I don't think we actually made a possibility of making post back. So, oh, this is not the right one. I think I will delete this one again. It was just to see how to make a for construction. So for each, so this box, this one. So at the moment we cannot make a post back because we don't have a submit. There might be some kind of submit. So let's just make this one, and probably we can just deal it because we have one here, and then we can change the name. So it's select instead of, it's a little bit better than it's calling create, I think, and then we just steal it from here. So let's try it again.
Scroll a bit to the right.
Yes. Yeah. This we could actually also just remove its styling. That we give it a class, and then there's a styling for all the bottoms so they look alike. But if we don't want that one, we can just clear it, and then we are back to basic. So that should probably do it. But we need the controller. So the controller. So we got this one, and then we need, I think I will steal it from here. No, a little bit. I don't know, that's so small stuff to write. So probably better writing it. Post public result, and then the same name, same action name, and then like the name of the list box was still the same, so we need the name of the list box to get data back, and then the content, and that should do it, I think. So let's just return the view. If we're doing like this, we got a problem because we actually have a model, so we need to pass a model, and in this case, when we are making the form, we need to refill the list box. It's away. It's the only thing we keep posting back is actually fields that actually have what you will see, say they are of the type that could be post back in a key value pair. So we don't post back the list box, so we have to do the same again. So this is one of the problem you might see that we need to do it every time, reproduce the model. There is, of course, the way we could put it in a session. There is also something called temp data that could survive one call, and that might, in this case, be a good idea, because then we can use the temp data and we can get the list again, and then we can put it in the next place, so we don't need to reconstruct it every time. But else you would actually reconstruct it. So let's see. Now we have selection. So now we should be finished and can try. Just pass this one. And so now we have the same as in the previous solution. So this one, and then the select one.
Your breakpoint is still there?
Yeah.
It is waiting for it, actually.
Yeah, and then I didn't choose the right view, so it's actually the wrong view, so we don't know if it's working. So it should be the one with data, this one instead. And for that I don't have a breakpoint, but I might do it so we can see that it's actually working the same way. So this prog from data, let's place the breakpoint here, and then select one, or maybe we could select two and say select, and then we can see now we have in this one the two elements selected. So this is still a simple model. It's only a model containing this element, so we still have some work to do before we keep all the information in a model, because instead of having this like a simple variable, we could also put this in a model, but then we got a model with more than one list, so that would be probably one of the next step. Yes, so far. Should we have a short break again? Maybe? Then I will stop the video.